Hello, everyone. Welcome to Concordia Consularis, the spiritual and business agent series. And guys, it's so nice to connect with you again. We are still here, but just doing other works, but we do continue on, Harrison and I, to initiate spiritual courts of equity for global problems that we might experience in our external reality. So look, in the oncoming times, I want to just focus more on your individual illumination. And what that means is taking a broader perspective, healing journey to heal ourselves of the ills that we are living amongst and the contracts, the spiritual contracts that keep us tied into other beings, other people, places, and realities that don't really suit us or have outlived our personal spiritual growth. What does that mean, personal spiritual growth? It means that you become a better being, more vibrant, more alive with your spiritual energy intact in your physical body there. And when you are out of balance, all sorts of other conditions begin to materialize. So when we look at the soul, the essence of who you are, there lies all the answers to all the issues that you've ever experienced. So as we continue on in the spirit, this is really key actually. Today we're not going to be focusing on that per se, but other times coming up. We're going to be looking at the situation in English-speaking territories of United Kingdom, Great Britain, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and also this affects Commonwealth countries as well. And it's a huge, dense propaganda issue that's playing out before us. I've observed it, but you know, after all the technical politics of left wing and right wing of the same machine, I would like to point out that this was designed to get you at it, which is a great shame, really. It's whether you give your spiritual energy into that. Yes, you are going to have to make a stand for your spiritual rights because they have been eroded and decimated into nothing. And this is just a living example of that. So what personal responsibility can you take in these oncoming times for the way that you vote and give your complete subservience into people that really don't care about the way that you live, they don't care about anything to do with you as long as they are taxing and creating from your personal spiritual energy. Yeah, look, you know, I've been saying it for many years. So today I want to revisit a moment from 2019 where there was the first Great Glastonbury spiritual contract revocation in the centre of multidimensional trackways of time. Yeah. So look, you know, what we're going to do here is just revocate and remove and bring to the fore your spiritual energy. If you are of Britain, Northern Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Crown Territories. Bringing together all souls from these parts and calling in the ancestral spirit of Albion, Celts, Britons. For your ancestors have been deeply punished, as we know. Vikings, all those that have an invested historical interest in the UK, and also those that continue to dominate and control and rob you of your sacred existence. That includes Church of England, and eventually they pay out to the Vatican. So it's not really much of a difference, and they learn to sort of coexist together under one spiritual force, which was always the way. So how are they going to use your divisive energies against each other? This is really the core of it. And what will become built with this great dissonance on quite beautiful land. So I'm inviting all souls here. We have the Spirit of Earth. And this is the highest spiritual port of peace, equity that we can bring to you. Old races, across time and situations which we've all forgotten about. Slow, dominating takeover of these territories. I call to all spiritual contracts that exist within my past, present, and future beings, selves, and existences in this dimension and time stream, all time streams above and below the earth-centric sine wave coexistence. At this exact moment, in the ever-present co-creating moment, we summoned all DNA lineage ancestors in this unified spiritual port of equity to find remedy and resolve with all contracts that have inserted fine print during the pre-birth and birth process. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts that deal with all government personalities, elected, unelected, or non-government organisations. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all family crest-based government systems. I revoke all rights, duties, responsibilities to all government entities that use my vote as a means of energy harvesting. I revoke all spiritual contracts with Great Britain and Commonwealth countries, with every establishment, mystery school, political organisation, Prime Minister, Member of Parliament, Cabinet members, House of Lords, Supreme Court judges, Queen's benches, or King's benches these days, solicitors, barristers, magistrates, county councillors, town councillor, Tavistock Institute members, institute now dissolved, HMRC subsidiary companies, Corporation of London, Vatican and Church of England, all members of the monarchy, their ascendants or descendants, or hierarchical organisation of government, governance, seen and unseen. I revoke all spiritual contracts with every branch of government from all of my past, present and future lives. I do not consent to the rule of the privileged few. I revoke all rights, responsibilities, assumptions, presumptions, and signatures that retain me within the entirety of any or all government organisations, family crests, sacred geometry buildings, monuments, obelisks, memorials or military bases, or military industrial complexes, GCHQ, MI5, MI6, and Royal Intelligence Gathering Hubs, and other covert means of analysis. All spells within all documentation, such as birth certificates, identity cards, passports, and driving licence databases, are cancelled and void. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts with the monarchy and or corporate maritime run government. I do not consent to any form of corporate maritime government that harvests energy from its people. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all banking cartel families. I revoke all rights, assumptions and responsibilities with every member of the Bank of England, Eurozone, IMF, subsidiaries and all exchange for value systems run by any government or corporate official. I revoke all spiritual contracts hidden within our government exchange for value system. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all government offices that use sacred geometry crests to retain power or insert fine print in soul contracts via any and all means. I revoke all rights, privileges, powers assumed and unassumed, consented and unconsented, with every HM law enforcement branch that uses the Bank of Energy, Bank of England, pardon me, and Bank of International Settlements Energy to support the system of domination and control at a core level in this universe, seen and unseen. I revoke all spiritual contracts that create consent for government committees and think tanks that determine the quality of life. I revoke all historical, tacit consent and consent given previously by all ancestors in awareness of duplicitous action. I revoke all rights, duties and responsibilities for all government systems that write laws that affect my spiritual contracts without my direct consent from my total DNA lineage ancestors, past, present and future. I revoke all spiritual contracts that enable the government to use time travel and spiritual manipulation of any kind as a means of domination and control. I revoke all rights, duties of all time traveller personalities, operations, systems, past, present and future, including those using Greenwich Mean and Summertime to anchor the control frequency across the earth. I demand the immediate return of all time travel personalities to their right and perfect timeline and all impacts removed from all those affected. I revoke all rights with all technologies that alter dimensions, manipulate time streams, or do harm to any sentient life coexisting on Earth in all timelines and dimensions. I do not consent to timeline wars. I do not consent to heavy mass propaganda. I do not consent with war-based industrial complexes. I do not consent for the use of military to dominate and control. And I definitely don't consent to the sacred way of life that the unsacred way of life that your establishment has tried to implement on Earth throughout the ages. I do not consent to the establishment and their version of what life should be. I do not consent to the destruction of the family unit by state, monarchy-led implementation of suffering. I do not consent to the use of ritual as a means to destroy a sentient being. I do not consent to elite hierarchy of any kind. I do not consent to your rules of reality. I hereby remove all of your rules from my reality. I demand a full repayment of all energetic investments of all lineages and individuals in full for the inhabitants, living and dead, of Great Britain, Commonwealth countries and Ireland, past, present and future, for the immediate return on all historical investments ever made in every time stream, galaxy and universe we simultaneously exist on. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts secretly interwoven into every law, past, present and future. I do not consent to the passing of laws that affect soul family migration, soul family immigration, or systems that prevent me from uniting my complete and total soul family. I demand the instant return of all my soul family that has been denied the right to coexist with me for all of my past, present and future lives. I revoke, I always say that so happily, I revoke all rights, rules and laws that define soul family on the 3D matrix level. I return all definitions of soul family status to Earth Mother. I revoke all rights to label soul families with sacred geometry linguistics that cross dimensions or realities. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all forms of sacred geometry linguistics, past, present and future. I do not consent to the use of sacred geometry linguistics as a means of energy harvesting. I do not consent to the use of sacred geometry, cities, infrastructure, linguistics, or artwork for the purpose of domination and control. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts that enable the government to dominate and control all people on any timeline or dimension in Earth and its realms. I revoke all assumptions and presumptions of power and class systems. I revoke all spiritual contracts that define sentient life as cattle or commerce. Love this. I do not consent to my life force being used for any other purpose that does not heal Mother Earth and promote unity consciousness amongst all sentient kind, living and coexisting within Earth Mother. I hereby declare that Earth Mother is now in dominion with me for all forms of global government, interpersonal relations, or galactic relations, for all sentient kind existing and coexisting on Earth Mother's realms. I call forth all ancestors to honour this reading of my free will and enter it into Earth records for all sentient kind to understand or understand our freedom, understand our freedom comes with the use of free will at all times. And this was loosely based on GH's government contract revocation, which was recreated for the UK many years ago. Classo comati il pene muoni on Matteo. So, ancestral spirit of UK, Great Britain, Commonwealth countries. There is great shame. And we're just clearing that. Because this is the time for utilising the beautiful spirit that is emanating. It's just emanating in the wrong way through their system, not through your natural expression. You have to have something to hold to your spirit, the one that guides you every day. Let go of the apathy of experience due to the heavy duty programmation, deep subliminal propaganda through nationalism. You know where you are, you know where you belong. You might not know who your ancestors were because they've had it battered out of them in various wars over the last 1,000 years. So I see you all standing strong in peace. Illuminating, clearing, eclipsing this energy out of reality. Remember, this was all planned. But if you make successful changes, following the positivity of your own spirit, just keep taking it to the streets. And deny them access to your future reality. Then you might have a chance at peace. May the trumpets and lions, bears roar. And may the dragons be unleashed. So it is accelerating and amplifying spirit energy. UK. The evolution that you've waited for really is here. Nobody wants this ridiculous circus. It's trying to stand firm in your soul, spirit, your beings, and reject what they do to you, regardless what face they're wearing, from which side of the machine. Look down at the machine. Nah, don't want anything to do with that. It's outlived its purpose. When every individual does this, you see the most beautiful changes roll out. Not with whatever's going on there, if that's the best you've got these times. Come on. Are you kidding? Only the ones. Generation Z, Gen Z is might not know, but certainly we do. Because we've seen it all before, time and time again. Different pattern, different part of the globe. Same people, same thing. Different outfit. So, lovely people, see you next time for